Do you guys remember the whole fuss about the Large Hadron Collider supposedly ending the world? Yeah, I don't either, because it didn't happen. But there was a time when people were sure the collider would create a black hole that would suck up the Earth. And before that, they were worried about the year 2000 and the Hale-Bopp comet. And before that, it was a great disappointment. And before that, it was another thing. It seems like the idea of the world ending is always around the corner. Here are 12 predictions of the apocalypse that never came true and the new ones that took their place. Starting off at number 12. We have the Montanus prophecies. It all started in the 2nd century AD, in the city of Papusa. A Christian prophet named Montanus founded a sect in the region that claimed the second coming was near. His followers, called Montanists, spread like wildfire. They sold all their possessions, abandoned their homes, and waited for Christ to return on nearby hilltops. Obviously, he didn't. In fact, the Montanus movement lasted for quite a while, eventually being declared heretical by the Roman Catholic Church in 256 AD. The reason for this was, well, because Montanus and his followers believed Christ would come back within 100 years, yet somehow he never did. Next up at number 11, we have the year 1000 AD panic. In the 9th and 10th centuries, many Christians began to believe that Christ would come again 1,000 years after his birth. This belief was so widespread that it caused a great deal of anxiety among Catholics in parts of Europe, particularly Germany and Scandinavia, where people thought the end of the world was near. Needless to say, the new millennium came and went without incident. But this didn't stop the doomsday predictions about the year 1000 from becoming a popular trope in fiction stories set during that time period. Number 10. The Great Fire of London. In 1666, London experienced one of its most destructive fires. But what if it wasn't just a coincidence? What if it was a sign from God? Well, some people actually thought that. You see, the year 1666 ends with 666, which is famously known as the number of the beast in Revelations. Therefore, it was seen as an ominous sign that the apocalypse was near. Fortunately for Londoners, the world didn't end, and the fire, although terrible, only lasted for 5 days. The blaze destroyed more than 13,000 houses, but London rebuilt and continued on. So the next time someone says the world's going to end in 666, just tell them it already happened. Number 9. The Millerites, or Great Disappointment. In the mid-19th century, American theologian William Miller gained popularity for his prediction that Jesus would return to Earth sometime between March and October 22, 1844. His followers, called Millerites, anxiously awaited the coming of Christ. And by 1844, over 2,000 people had joined the movement. So when October rolled around and nothing happened, thousands were disappointed. However, Miller's followers refused to give up hope. They just kept waiting and praying until finally, in 1845, a Second Adventist conference was held, and the group split into several different sects. One of these would eventually become the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Now we enter the modern era. At number 8, the planetary alignment. The year is 1982. A book titled The Jupiter Effect hits the shelves and becomes an instant bestseller. It tells the story of how the planets will align every few hundred years and cause massive earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and other natural disasters. But hey, it's all good. Back in 1982, the planets won't really align until 2000. The same book resurfaced in 1999 as fearmongers warned about the impending arrival of the Antichrist. Of course, 2000 came and went, with no sign of the beast. But it's okay, because the author has another prediction. According to him, the world will end in 2012. Nope, still here. Clearly, the man is a genius. Number 7, the Hale-Bopp comet and Heaven's Gate cult. The Hale-Bopp comet is one of the most famous comets in history. It made its way around the sun between 1995 and 1997 and became visible to the naked eye. Some saw it as a bad omen because a few months before the comet reached its peak, 39 members of a UFO cult called Heaven's Gate died by mass suicide. They believed the comet had a spaceship following close behind, and that the Hale-Bopp was the signal for the ship to come and take them off planet. To prepare themselves, they took large amounts of phenobarbital and alcohol before checking out of this world. But unfortunately for them, the comet passed the Earth without a spaceship in tow. Number 6. The Large Hadron Collider. The Large Hadron Collider is seriously one of the coolest and most advanced tech creations ever. When it was first turned on in 2008, some people were afraid it would destroy the world. How? Well, because the LHC smashes billions of atoms together at nearly the speed of light in order to study the fundamental structure of the universe. Some believed this would create a black hole that would swallow the Earth. 2 lawsuits were even filed attempting to halt the experiments, but both were dismissed. And since then, the Large Hadron Collider has worked pretty much without a hitch. We're still here, so maybe the world won't end by science experiment anytime soon. And now, let's talk about the digital age. Number 5. Y2K. At the dawn of the third millennium, many people feared the worst. They were afraid the Earth would end because computer systems would fail when the clock struck midnight on January 1st, 2000. This bug occurred because programmers had only used 2 digits to represent the year to save space, which meant the year 2000 would read the same as 1900. And since most computer programs could undistinguish between the two, it was feared that major systems like banking, communications, and transportation could shut down. Government agencies and private companies spent millions to fix the problem. And when the new millennium arrived and nothing happened, it was seen as a model of how preventing a potential disaster can work. At number 4, the webbot. A webbot is basically just a computer program that automatically scans and gathers data from the internet. But in the early 2010s, one particular webbot gained notoriety for its prediction about the end of the world. It gained a cult following who believed its claims that it would accurately predict global collapse. Although nothing came true, the webbot continues to make predictions to this day, none of which have come to fruition. At number 3, the Mayan calendar. The Mayan civilization was an ancient Mesoamerican culture known for its art, architecture, and complex calendar system. The long count calendar kept track of days, months, and years. And according to a misinterpretation of the calendar, December 21, 2012 was supposed to be the end of the world. There was even a 2009 blockbuster movie called 2012 that predicted the end of the world based on this false prophecy. But when the day arrived and the world didn't end, everything went back to normal. It turns out the Mayans never said the world would end. Their calendar simply marked the end of a long count cycle. Number 2, rogue planet Nibiru. Okay, let's be honest. Everyone knows the world isn't going to end because of a rogue planet. Come on. But some people really do believe that a hidden planet called Nibiru is on a collision course with the Earth. The supposed planet has been pushed by conspiracy theorists since the 1970s, but recently it's picked up steam on social media. NASA has debunked the claim multiple times, but that hasn't stopped believers from spreading it around. One such person is a woman who believes Nibiru will collide with Earth in 2023 and cause the apocalypse. She goes by the name Planet X and has dedicated her entire YouTube channel to proving the planet's existence. So far, she hasn't found any evidence, but she's not given up yet. And finally, at number 1, COVID-19. That's right, some people actually believed the COVID-19 pandemic was the start of the biblical tribulation period that would ultimately lead to the end of the world. Videos went viral on YouTube with titles like, "COVID-19 is the beginning of the Great Tribulation, and the mark of the beast is here." It got so bad that churches had to come out and publicly refute these claims. But hey, the world didn't end, but it's okay, because the woman who predicted COVID was the start of the tribulation also predicted the world would end in 2024. So we've got something to look forward to. The year is 2023 and the world is ending. You may have heard this prediction from some random guy on the internet, or maybe from a well-known figure with lots of followers. But regardless of who made the prediction, the doomsday prophecy was bound to go viral. Let's talk about why people come up with these predictions in the first place. According to a 2019 study, humans are just hardwired to seek out patterns, especially when it comes to predicting the future. This is a trait that helped our ancestors survive for thousands of years. But it also means that we're prone to finding connections between completely unrelated events, like the 2020 election and a supposed coming civil war. Plus, as researcher and writer Douglas Rushkoff explains, predicting doom gives people a sense of control in an otherwise chaotic and unpredictable world. As he wrote in a 2017 article for The Guardian, "It's not just that the world is ending, it's that I said it would end, and I was right. And that feeling of vindication is really powerful." Finally, there's the matter of profit. Books, cults, influencers, even brands have all gotten in on the doomsday hype. And as long as people keep buying their products or tuning into their channels, there's not much incentive for them to stop. In March, both the editor-in-chief of a popular science magazine and a self-proclaimed prophetess predicted that the world would end in March of 2023. A few months prior to that, a pastor from California predicted that the world would end on October 2022. And in September, a so-called psychic and self-help author predicted that the world would end in less than 2 weeks. But as we've learned from the Mayan calendar, which was supposedly so accurate that it predicted the end of the world in 2012. Predictions like these are often based on a misunderstanding of evidence or a deliberate misrepresentation of facts. So while some of these predictions may seem more legitimate than others, ultimately none of them came true. And as we enter a new era, it is important to be aware of the ways in which confirmation bias, the desire for attention, and the allure of a good story can lead us to believe things that simply are not true. Now that you know all these predictions, which one did you think was the funniest? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more just like it. With that said, thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in next time.